Very warm good afternoon to all, and I am this Praveen Tomar from Computer Science and Engineering at Noida, and today we are organized a session of the event, and our guest is Dr. Sanjay Pachori, and Dr. Sanjay Pachori is a professor and dean and R&D IIMT College of Engineering, Greater Noida, and he obtained lots of degrees of IT field. That is also done PGDM, ITM, APGDCA, MSc Computer Science, MTech Computer Science, and MCP, MCSC, and PhD in also in Computer Science. And he has a lot of experience in the fields of academics as well as research, and and, and that is a lots of the research, lot of done the research work is also there, and he was a member of academic council in faculty council and board of studies of IMS University Dehradun, and he also served as an editor as a Pragyan Journal of Information Technology in December 2013 issue, as well as a member of editorial board, International Advisory Board, and review for several international journal for USA and housing, USA, Australia, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and there is a lot of there, and he has a long-standing academic interest in data communication and networks and network security and cloud computing as well. And he is also guided 6 scholars from their PhD work, and 6 PhD degree has been awarded to his scholars, and these submitting for awards of degrees recently. International, national, and patent fields are there. And now, warm welcome to Sanjay sir, and please come, Sanjay sir. And there was the mic for Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir, are you there?
Yeah. Praveen ji, thanks a lot, and thank you for your warm welcome. Now, before starting the session, I would like to share my screen first. So let me share it out. Yeah, is it visible?
Sir, this is visible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Before starting the session, developing online repository of startups, developed and incubated, and way forward planning. First of all, we should know what actually the thing is and on which topic we are going to start our discussion. What is the meaning of this repository of startups and or developed or the way forward plan? Before starting it, I would like to draw your kind attention towards one of the burning international issue, that is a fighter plane B-21 from USA. In current scenario, this particular fighter plane is in so much highlighted, and India is going to take the very first delivery hopefully in 2023. And this particular plane will not be fetched out by any of this radar system, even Su-400 by Russia. And why I am discussing this thing? Because the plan and the design of this plane was developed somewhere more than 30 years before the development of the product. Now, why this 30 years, a long time, was there in the development of the final product whenever we were having the plan and all of these things? Until unless we were not having the repository of that particular idea of the plan or the design and all of these things, in today's scenario, we will not be able to develop the final product, which is currently a burning issue. That's why repository is very much needed in any of the university structure or higher education college structure. So what actually the repository is, just have a look on the definition first. What is actually the repository? A repository is a digital collection of the intellectual output either by the students or the faculty, administrators, and others who are the member of the university community. Then expression in the institutional vitality, contribution to a growing network of open access scholarship, and which will provide us to put faculty and students in the mainstream of scholarly activities. Why all of these things are needed actually? A repository is something like a library where we are having literatures, books, and all of these things. Similar way, repository, here the idea repository means we are having a similar thing like a library where we are going to put our ideas and the designs and all of these things, which currently we are having in our mind. But it might possible that product, how to go through the product or how to make it as a product or how to convert it, it might not be there. But if we are putting all of these things into a particular repository, we might get success into coming future. So what is institutional repository? We can divide it institutional repository into 4 ways. The content of these institutional repositories are institutional defined. It captures the original research and the intellectual properties created by the university's population across many fields. Either they are students or the faculties or researchers or anyone. No, on behalf of a scholarly, this is some, let us go an example includes preprints of peer-reviewed articles, monographs, teaching materials, conference papers, theses, dissertations, computer softwares, work art, photographic or the video recording. All of these things should be in our record. Then the writing of this cumulative and perpetual content submitted to IR. IR means institutional repository. Should be both commutative and the maintained in perpetuity. Then it should have an open access. So suppose I am having some idea right now, and I have to plan accordingly. And after me, a group of research scholars is there, or group of students is there, who were gone through this particular repository, and that particular idea, whenever they were going to that particular idea, they strike out thing. If we will go or we will start working over this idea into this way, it might possible that we may got success, or this particular idea may be converted into a final prototype or a product. So the open access should also be there. That is very much needed. So what is actually the institutional repository? We should make it a commercial and it should have an open access. These are few open accesses which are right now available to get out so many ideas, and these are some few commercial ideas which were previously they might be the open access or they might be an idea, but right now they are commercialized. So they are a particular final product. So if we work, then what IRs can be used for? It may be used for the scholarly communications. Here the word is scholarly communication means we might go through the case study scenario. It means whenever we are going through the students group and we are discussing that this is our idea and how we can go through it, it might be a case study to the students so that they can think out, okay, if this is the plan, this is the proposal, this is the idea, how to convert this idea into a particular prototype and a final product. So storing learning materials, it might be work as a learning material and the coursework, managing collections of the research documents, preserving digital materials for a long-term preservation type, knowledge management. Also, this is an electronic published, so that's why it will work long and long. So it might work a case study, or it might work as a repository, or it will provide so many students or so many research scholars to work over them. So research assistance exercises might be there, and the collaboration tools will be there. It might be used in so many ways. So if I would like to introduce what actually the institutional repositories are. So institutional repositories are actually the ideas. They are in a very powerful idea that can serve as an engine to change for any institution. It might work like an engine. So in this digital age, everyone wants contents and to be successful informative service providers. So information center and libraries need to develop services in such a way so that the end users may manipulate the content as per their requirement. Because access should be open, and if you are providing the access to each and everyone through the repository, and if the particular group or if the researcher is not able to manipulate that particular idea according to themselves to convert into a prototype or a product, it will not work. To make it worthwhile, we should provide these type of facilities. So therefore, in the personal scenario, institutional repositories have become an indispensable component for information and knowledge sharing in the scholars world. So IR provides a method for capturing and maintaining today's electronic materials so that tomorrow's scholar can understand the thinking behind the published record. Again, for the standard IR, such a very institution should have to equip its library professional so that they can be able to cope up with the ever-growing changes in this part. So institutional repositories might be in the form of digital collections that capture and preserve the intellectual output of university communities. Respond into two strategic issues facing academic institutions. They are, very first is, they provide a central component in reforming a scholarly community by stimulating innovations in a disaggregated publishing structure. Means whatsoever we are going to store in our repository in the digital form, it might be, for an example, it might be an idea right now. So many, each and every student, so many scholars, each and every faculty, administrators, they all are having so many ideas on a day-to-day life, on a daily basis. If any of your idea may change your livelihood or may change your living style, living standard, or that may help to the society in any of the way, that idea, and it might possible that you are not having the way how to convert that idea into the product. It might, a product means here, if I'm using the word product, it might be a service as well. If by any of the service or any of the product, if it is helping our society in any of the way, we should go through that. We should store that so that it might possible I'm not capable to convert that into a product, but in my next generation or my within coming new few years or the coming time, it might be taken care by someone else who can convert it. Similarly, whomsoever the person or whomsoever the group who had created this idea for B-21 fighter plane, he might not be there in the world. It might possible I am not very well known, or that particular group might be there. But at that time, they were not having the right path how to convert it. But right now they are having so many paths, because on each and every day, on the day-to-day basis, science is going to change. Science is changing themselves. We are converting our technology into a little bit higher end on a daily basis. So the second part, they serve as tangible indicators of an institute's quality, thus increasing its viability, prestige, and the public values. Institutions repository are a part of an emerging movement towards open access to the research information. So faculty and researchers at university worldwide gather and interpret data, advocate new ideas, and extend human knowledge. This work is sometimes shared with other scholars and researchers as working papers, technical reports, white papers, and other forms of pre-publication work. Although this scholarship, these maybe eventually show up a peer-reviewed journal or books, somehow or sometimes may not. This preprint culture is strongest in the scientific and technical discipline, but social scientists share similar work in few other ways. One of the way in which author can self-archive their work is by depositing it into the intellectual repository. This is a digital collection of intellectual output, such as research articles, theses, teaching materials, produced many members of the institution. It might be produced by so many members. So it might possible that you might alone may have an idea, or your entire group may have an idea. Similarly, here the teaching material might be stored by a single faculty member, or it might be through by a group of faculty member. So they might store that out for the further future use. So what are the different contents of the idea repository? So different contents are, since this idea repository contains the intellectual output of the university, and these outputs are very diverse and may include the preprints of articles or the research reports submitted for publication, the text of the journal articles accepted for publication, revised text of the published work with commercial or the comments from the academic readers, reference papers, teaching materials, student projects, doctoral theses, dissertations, data sets resulting from research projects, committee papers, computer softwares, work of art, and photographs, video recordings, etc. might be the contents. In very simple, an institutional repository may contain work of which copyright is owned by the author or university or the institution, or for which permission has been obtained to include a copy of the work into the repository. So whatsoever, if in other words, in a simplified word, a particular group of students or faculties, they might have an idea right now, as we have discussed so many times within few minutes of time. They might get a patent on the idea, they might file an IPR for the idea, and that particular idea should be stored into the digital form into the repository. So as we are giving the permission to the other authors, other readers and the researchers, so they might go through that idea and they might suggest that if we will go through this way, we might got success. It might possible. So all these type of things are very well needed a security through the IPRs as well. So if we want to know what actually the different business plans, how to go through this repository for a particular business plan. So digital repositories may have a number of functions. One is to open up and offer the outputs of the institution or community to the world, to impact on and influence development by maximizing the viability of output and providing the greatest possible change, often enhanced impact as a result, to showcase and sell the institution to interested constituencies, prospective staff, prospective students, and other stakeholders, to collect all the curate digital outputs for input in case of it is a special collection. So we have to manage it as a and measure research over these teaching activities. If I would like to go through this, what is actually the business model which we are going to convert? List of 6 factors that a business model encompasses. They are as follows: that articulation of a value proposition. Actually, articulation of a value proposition means whatsoever your idea was, or whatsoever you are going to store in the repository, it might possible that might not helping our society right now, but in future, if it is somewhere or anywhere or anyhow, if it is going to serve our society, that is actually the articulation of the value proposition. You are putting your values to serve our society. Identification to the target market segment. After completion of this particular idea through the prototype till the product, what will be your target market? Then definition of the business value chain. How we are going to develop our business through that idea till the product by using our target market. So whenever we are using our target market, it means we are going to sell that product out. Whenever we are going to selling that particular product out, and it means we are enhancing our business. Whenever we are enhancing our business, a new business value chain will be created. Then the specification of the revenue generation mechanism. Then, of course, whenever it is in business, so we are going to put few amount of money. Of course, we would like to get out some gain over that. So what will be our revenue generation mechanism? It should be very clear with us. Then specification of business position within the value network. What is their value network? What is our social network where we are going to do this, and how we are going to make our business to a certain position? Then formulation of the business competitive strategy. So this is very clear. Whenever we will be in our business and we are going through the revenue generation mechanism, it means we are going to generate profit over through the business. Then a lot of competitors will be there. So what will be our competitive strategies? That should be very clear. So for institutional and other open access repositories, the value proposition can be summarized as follows. On behalf of the research community, a digital repository proposes maximize the accessibility. Your repository should have the maximum accessibility to the entire world. Maximize the availability, enable the discoverability, enable increase of the functionality, enable long-term storage and that curation of this particular storage. It means the security, and enable other potential benefits through this repository. What are actually other potential benefits? Other potential benefits might be like some of the ideas is stored into the repository by anyone, and through any other way, or it might be a chance, you were not having the time to work over that particular project, and somehow after a long time, like 7 to 8 or 10 years back, 10 years after 10 years, some scholar got out that idea and he started thinking over that. Within this particular 10 years duration time, technology will also increase, technology will be enhanced. So by using the current technological scenario, he thought that this particular idea may be matured. So he might have a particular research. So he might go through the PhD over that particular topic, research articles, white papers, so many things, maybe as a potential benefit if we all are having these type of strong repository with us. So whenever we discuss with the business plan, actually business plan, business scope and the development and the business management, these three are actually the steps. And these steps are further divided into viability, sustainability, and the adaptability. If we are thinking about or discussing about the business case, so we have to check this thing out. What is the viability of our plan? Does our business offering fit to stakeholders and needs and preferences? We have to check this thing out. If it is okay, then we have to check, can we develop and launch this thing out? If yes, then can we manage the business? Whenever we are going to develop and we are going to launch them. After launching, it means we are into the business and we have to make profit through the business. So can we manage that business whenever the business will be in the profit? So into the sustainability part, what are the likely costs? What might be my future cost? Suppose I am getting a particular product into rupees 100 as a production cost. What will be the likely cost to the market? As I discussed these type of things with my students, normally in this age, in the UG level, students suggest that some 30 to 40% margin is more than enough. It means we can sell that particular product into rupees 140 maximum. No, dear friends, no, not at all. You have not to think like this. At least 100 or 150% margin should be over there. It means we have to sell that particular product into rupees either 200 or 250. Why it is so? Because in today's scenario, your cost is rupees 100 and your raw material cost is approximately rupees 60, let us suppose. And your manufacturing and the labor and the taxes and all of these costs are rupees 40. It might possible tomorrow your raw material cost might fluctuate to 60 to 80 and your labor and the taxes and all of these costs might fluctuate from 40 to 60. So you are having 80 plus 60, 140 rupees as a production cost. And it is within the next 6 months or 8 months after the product into the market. So within the next 6 to 8 months, after the launch of your product into the market, you will not be into the position to raise your cost. So in that particular case, it might possible that you have to quit out from your business because you will found your losses over there. So you have to be very much clear about our likely cost. On the behalf of likely cost, do our resources at least match with the likely cost? Whatsoever the resources we are having, are they matching with the cost? If yes, then what resources can be found to, if they are not matching, then what resources are required to match this thing out? And in case of adaptability, is our model adaptable and flexible? If yes, can we build it? Can we build in resilience? If yes, then will all stakeholders remain committed to the services and committed to the business? If all these answers are yes, then of course we should start. These are few types of repository services: digitization service, IPR and copyrights, and open access. What is actually the digitization? Digitization is now in current scenario, nobody willing to go through the black and white papers. It means written materials, and that is not very easy to search that thing out. If we are having thousands of files of these repositories into our library, and if want to search one of the idea on my topic, it is not very easy to me to search that thing out. So if it is digitized, I can search by clicking the few buttons only. And as it is my idea, so it should be protected by the IPRs and the copyrights. and open accessibility should also be provided. Technical advisory services should be repository building services, repository hosting services. All of these things, all of these parts are actually the part of digitization and the use of current today's technology. If we are using the today's technology and we are using the digitization, we can go through this thing. So in the business plan, how to go through and how many steps are over there. So this is the session one, is the step one, description of my business. How to make a good business plan. So description of my business, it should describe my product or the services for what product or for what service I am planning this thing and what, how it will serve to the society and how it will affect to the market. Then target market and the customers. It should be very clearly described into my plan what will be my target market and how and who will be my targeted customers. Then growth trends in the business. As the target market, as we were discussing the target market, suppose the market, suppose we will discuss, we would like to discuss an example, market of the tractors. Of course, tractors are very well known by each and everyone. That is a four-wheeler. Why we are not using tractors in our cities as a mode of transportation instead of cars? Because the functionality of that particular product is entirely different. That's why the target market is entirely different. We have to focus the market which is nearby the villages, where the actual use of tractors are there. That's why we are not getting tractor showrooms into the cities. Out of the city, they are there. Similarly, growth trends in the business. Okay, what will be my growth in coming futures? What will be the trend of my growth? It should also be described. And the pricing power. What will be my price in today's scenario and how we are going to change our price. As I've gone through today's newspaper, it is approximately 10 years when the Yamuna Expressway started. And they started with a toll and a fixed price of the toll was there. Now they have revised their price. This is pricing power. In yesterday's meeting, they revised the price by 10 paisa per kilometer. They are going to hike the toll prices. It means the entire road, 165-kilometer road, will reflect only 16.5 rupees per trip. Right? So this is not a very pinching situation to the families or to the passengers who are passing through that, because what will be the reflection that will be shown in their balance sheet. In session 2, we have to describe that personally committed to our business, how much committed we are for our business. We have to put our whole, we have to devote our entire knowledge, entire experience, and little bit extra time to our business to get the business success. Describe the work experience, how much experience our team is having, and describe yourself, including your education. Okay, what is you have learned till date? Are you giving what is your positivity? What is your experience? What is your will? Are you giving your 100% to the business? If not, then you are going to fail. In our session 3rd, for us a tabulation of each and everything, because we should have a very clear vision in the very first session. So what is my vision? And we should, along with the vision, we should have a review mechanism of our vision. If we are not reviewing our vision each and every time, we are, and review mechanism should be stored in the tabulation form. Okay, this was my previous achievement. Now we have to achieve this. Now we have to achieve this. So review mechanism should be there along with all of these things, all pieces, either they are equipment or the technology or the budget, everything. We have to review each and everything. In our session 4, we have to explain our business organization. Okay, how we are going to manage this thing. It means we should describe our team members. Who is going to look after my market? Who is going to look after the sales? Who is going to look after the R&D? Who is going to look after the production? Each and everything. Even your lawyers, accountants, insurance agents, and other professionals as well. And legal, these licenses and all of these things, so legality will be there. So it should be described there. Finally, if we are going in this way, finally what we are getting, institutional repositories, if all of these things were there, so I'm getting all of these things on a single place, whenever we will go through that thing out, we can find out, yes, if this will be the structure here, it might be the problem. If we are going to change this session's detail by these details, as we have discussed in our session 1, session 2, session 3, and session 4, by these details, we may get out the success. It might possible. So institutional repository of ideas has many benefits, such as it provides long-term solution. Whenever each and everything will be in a very well-mannered, this will, of course, it will provide a long-term solution. Improve scholarly communications, remedying the weakness of self-archiving, lack of proper security, long-term reservations, and wasting of faculty. It means here the faculty means the person who is going to deposit this particular thing into the depository as a repository. So extending the work, the discipline, and improving online teaching both on campus and via the online mode or via the net. So these might be the few institutional repositories benefits which we are going to get. So these all are the benefits which we have discussed. Few of the repositories right now which are working, like IBM is working by 1991 to have a collection of the digital files. Like other than this IBM, DSpace is working with this site. I will summarize all of these things through an Excel sheet. ePrint, it is working open archive initiatives. Fedora, it is working for softwares. Greenstone, it is working the software as well as the architectural software architectural part. So currently we are having so many development in our depository part. So let us summarize all of these things over a single place. These are the name of the repositories. So IIT Mumbai is giving a digital repository by IIT Mumbai, having full text of book chapters, conferences, proceedings, papers, technical reports, journal, preprints and postprints, working paper, patents, and other like annual reports, and all of these things are openly accessible through IIT Mumbai. They are having the digital repository with them. National Institute of Oceanography, this is with the name of DRS@INO. These are having the journals, articles, conferences. National Institute of Technology, Rourkela, with the name of DSpace@NITR, having archived journal articles and all of these things. Management Development Institution, Gurgaon, MDI, using DSpace, having all of these things with them, like others. DSpace, Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, having all of these things by using the software. They are using DSpace. National Chemical Laboratory Pune, they are having 357 documents of scientific nature and has hosted on it with DSpace as a software. So they are, it means in our country as well, we have started repositories. So we have to think about it. We have to work over it to make a very strong repository on the institutional basis. There are few skills which are needed. Actually, skill requirement for institutional repositories are management. Of course, a management should be there. Whatsoever the softwares we are going to store are, or it might possible that few of the students developed a particular Android app or a software, they might store over that particular thing over the repository so that in coming future, that particular app or the software might be revised as per the market demand. Metadata, storage and preservations, it means the securities, contents, license, advocacy, training, support, current awareness, and the professional development. All of these things are required as a skill to make a particular repository. All of these things are written in the theoretical way as well. So these might be few softwares which might be used like MySQL or HTML, XML, PHP, Java, Perl, ePrints, DSpace, Fedora, Opus. These are not limited even. I've written it over here, but limited to, we might go through any of this or we might have some other as well. Right now we are having so many open sources softwares which might be used for the repository part. So like metadata, relevant metadata standards includes, but not limited, Dublin, Core, MARC, MATS, MODS, OAI, TMH. All of these are actually the metadata which might be used for repository, which will provide us so many things. So how to make all of these things flexible to each and everyone. So after this metadata, storage and preservations, we should store how to store and how to preserve. This is a very crucial question. And so many organizations provided the technology of the storage and the preservation. Few of the organizations, what they are doing, they are providing storage over the cloud, like IBM, like IIT Mumbai. But few of the organizations, they are providing the storage over their own servers. So storage might be through any of the way, or it might be in the hybrid mode. Hybrid mode means we can provide accessibility through the cloud. There should be a link over my website over the cloud, but that particular link may redirect to my local server. In this way, we may store our data into our campus, into our security, as well as preservation part. Preservation means we have to have a very good management over these digital data, so that data should not be corrupted. We have to manage it like a service for the car. Similarly, securities and the services for these digital systems. So what is the advocacy, training, and the support which is required? We should, as all of these things are very legal in terms, so we should have a particular legal team with us who can provide us the legal issues for all of these type of repositories and how to use them. how to store, how to archive, how to retrieve the data, and how to make a change over that. All of these training should be there. Otherwise, what will happen? Suppose I have submitted one of my idea over the repository. Few times, few months after, one of the team want to make a change. So he changed that idea. After 2 months, after 2 months means, suppose I have submitted my idea in the January. In July, the team want to change and he made the change. In September, I want to get what is the situation of my idea. And if I am retrieving that out, idea will be changed over there because the team made a change over there. So this type of problem should not be there. To manage these type of issues, a proper training should be there. How to use these things up, and a proper support should be provided. What are the key issues while developing repositories? The key issues are the institution should have a culture. If we are not having the culture to store these things over the repository, nobody will get a success. So a culture should be there. The scope of the repository should be there. Contents, accessibility levels, legal aspects, what the standards we have to follow, what will be the sustainability, and who is going to fund that out. Because each and everything costs something. Even that cost might be a single penny, but that costs something. And if whenever we are storing our data, the cost of data is there. Storage cost is over there. So who is going to fund this thing? It should be, these might be the key issues for a particular developing a repository. In simple terms, success in building a repository involves 8 C's. What actually the 8 C's are? Number one is comprehension. We should understand and have a common vision. Until unless we are not having the common vision and understanding of the purpose and the scope, we are not going to make it a grand success. And the collaboration. All should work as a collaborative team. If each and everyone is going, one is going over the east side and another is going the west side, it will not work. We should have work as a team. So the collaboration should be there. And the third is context. In which context we are going to do this thing, and for what will be the outcome in coming future, and how to make a change, because technology is developing day by day, so changes will be there. So how to make a change, then how to care that thing out, what will be our commitment, how to store our creativity, and how to make all these things a creative so that our accessibility should increase. So all these things should be a very creative. And competency. What is my actually the competency of all of these things? How the failure, how we are going to face a failure of our repository. An institutional repository can fail over time for many reasons, like policies. If policies are not good, management failure or incompetency is there, technical problems is there. Failure of the institutional repository can result into the disrupt of the access. Was if we are not following these 8 C's and the strong skills part, which we have discussed previously, if any one of thing is going to fail, make it sure our repository is going to fail in coming future. So the final conclusion, scientists, librarians, and library professions, they all should provide and go through in this particular way, and they should have a keen learning abilities to how to make a great success. Library professionals in developing countries like India needs to aware themselves about the new opportunities provided by information and communication technologies. One way of doing this is to adopt the open access. approach for their repository. Central and state government departments, private sectors, industrial academics, institutions, and the research institutions in India should take an initiative and come up with their institutional repositories so that the research in India can be widely accessed by a scholarly community throughout the world. Because it is very clearly seen that whatsoever the research is done into the colleges, universities, even 10% of that research is not coming into the market as a final product. These are actually the results. That's why this repository idea is very much needed into the country. By these words, I would like to give you thanks a lot for your precious listening. Thank you. If any of the
Thank you so much, Pachori sir, and providing a lot of information about the startups and business. And thank you once again. Thank you, Pachori sir, and thank you, Arendra sir.
Thank you.